it's difficult to believe that they can be done in a respectful and sensitive way.
The National Centre for Truth and Reconciliation has concerns over a $2 million contract Ottawa signed with an international group to receive consultations on the search for unmarked graves across the country. The centre, located in Winnipeg, says it's, quote, deeply concerned with the decision by Crown Indigenous Relations and Northern Affairs Canada to hire Netherlands-based International Commission on Missing Persons.
I don't know if it's a lack of trust, but it certainly continues the narrative of the federal government taking the lead on any kind of initiatives that concern Indigenous communities rather than allowing the communities to speak for themselves.
Federal officials say Indigenous facilitators will be involved in discussions throughout the consultation process with the ICMP, but the NCTR and other Indigenous advocates say the work around searching for unmarked graves must be done independently from the feds. Dr. Keisha Supernad says she was caught off guard by the agreement.
There have been two independent arm's length for bodies set up by the federal government that are Indigenous led, that were not involved in developing this agreement or bringing in the ICMP in any way.
Supernat says there is a possibility the Dutch firm could make a positive contribution to the work that is happening across the country, but says there is a cultural barrier to what Indigenous groups in Canada are dealing with.
Many different Indigenous nations across a very broad landscape and across a very long period of time. So I think there's a lot of clarity that needs to be brought before we can understand what the ICMP might bring to the table.
Supernat says she would have liked to see more consultation with the National Advisory Committee before any deal was signed. Kyle Mason says it's vital that Indigenous groups are involved in these discussions, including survivors.
I certainly hope the federal government will hear this, apologize, and to make changes.
Mason also says it's important not to forget the sensitivity this work requires.
We're still talking about the remains of children, thousands and thousands of children who were just disregarded like trash. This is inhumane. This is unthinkable. This is a terrible blight on Canada that needs to be handled with great delicacy and with care and thoughtfulness.
The centre says it has raised concerns in a meeting with Minister Mark Miller and will be providing more recommendations for measures to respect those who will be impacted by this process. In Winnipeg, Alex Karpa, City News.